And we went to go see a band called Sports Team there. And we turned around after it in the least pretentious way possible and was like, I think we can give this a go ourselves. Like, music's had a big impact on me throughout sort of my whole life, especially the genre we operate in has really affected me sort of in my teenage years. They'll protest against it. Your son will protest. Your son will go, turn dad's music off, it's crap, it's really bad, it's just full of guitar solos. And then one day he'll turn around and go, that band Guns N' Roses you listen to, they're incredible, when are we seeing them live? And you'll probably have to go, they're all dead, I'm sorry. Our sound is, I'd say it's very raw, and it's energetic, and it's unapologetic. It's being like, we're going to make things that break you from the ordinary, break you from that every day. And then, that's spiraled into the band's message. And that's why we are called that. People go like, why are you called Emergency Break? It's like, we want to make a show that is like a break from everything else going on in the world. And that's what happiness looks like to me, to be able to put everything on the table and talk about it how it is.
Hi,
Hello.
and welcome to the WhereaboutsTales. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm really good. Excited to be on here. But yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for accepting the invite, Leo. Today we have Leo from Emergency Break. I always do the same thing when I have a famous guest. I'm asking ChatGPT what does he knows about you, and about Emergency Break.
Oh wow, okay, yeah, I'm interested.
So I'll read it out loud. Emergency Break is a London-based indie rock band known for their energetic live performance and distinctive rock sound. They have made a significant impact on the London music scene, earning recognition as rising stars and ones to watch. The band has released several singles, including It's Over and Pyro, released in October 23. Explores the turmoil of a messy breakup intertwined with the excitement of a teenage festival night. The track was well received, debuting on the Punk on the Rocks radio station and generating considerable enthusiasm. Emergency Break is also recognized for their charitable efforts, having performed live sessions supporting of organizations like War Child UK.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know ChatGPT knew that much about us, but yeah.
So we have Leo from Emergency Break, an indie rock band, as ChatGPT already said, an indie rock band from UK. I would like, before we get into the details of the band, Leo, to get to know you first. And I would be happy if you tell us, where are you from and where are you living?
So I'm currently based in Essex, which is just outside of London. I recently moved back from America, so the band's really sort of been moving properly since we've been back. But yeah, no, that's currently where I'm based. I'm the only band member that isn't based in London. So hopefully one day, but yeah, no, currently that's where the thoughts lie. I'm very close to London, but yeah, no, I'm currently based in Essex.
We had Greg from the IDKs, and he was also from Essex, which I think so. You have a good indie scene in Essex, right?
Yeah, we do.
Cool. Now saying that you came back from New York, I was checking your previous live performance, and I saw that the first three were in New York. Did you have concerts there while being there?
No, we tried. We had attempted to, and I think they're still sitting there from our desperate attempts. But we definitely are trying to actually attend America and actually fully play. Hopefully this year. We have plans to do it this year. Mm-hmm. So fingers crossed that all sort of plans out.
Okay.
You know, there are attempts at us trying to previously make happen. We got, like, I'm talking this close, like it was happening, and it went down 48 hours before, which is just, yeah. It does seem to happen with gigs quite a lot. Like, I don't know, sometimes some of the gigs you say yes to, like, a year in advance are always the ones that go down in blazing ships 48 hours before than the one you said yes to 24 hours ago.
So planning is not always working.
No.
Leo, was music part of your childhood, or when did you get to know music for the first time?
Music's had a big impact on me throughout sort of my whole life, especially the genre we operate in has really affected me sort of in my teenage years, and sort of the years I'm just coming out of. But music's been around me my whole life. Never really in a capacity of like, as a kid, I like would go to like tons of concerts, stuff like that. But my parents are very big music people. Used to go to loads of festivals, and just I've grown up around that. The stories, the atmosphere, the I don't know, the clothing associated with that, the culture associated with that, sort of what I've very much grown up around, and hence sort of why I have gone into this sort of this industry, and that's shaped also the music that I listen to and the music that we make. And pretty much everybody in the band's parents before us pretty much have influenced the music that we have come and made. And I think that happens for almost everyone, that sort of their parents end up shaping part of their taste.
Were they in a band or singing?
No, just music fans. My parents used to go to loads of festivals. Same for a lot of the members of the band's parents. And in that, I think it's you know, when you're a kid and you've got that around you and you're hearing that all the time, it just, you know, you almost can't help but say no, that it's going to have some effect on you, whether it's nostalgia or you end up actually liking it. And that's
what kind of, so you said this kind of music that you're also singing. What were the bands around you?
As a kid, I was surrounded by a lot of like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Oasis, Blur, sort of your classic Britpop, almost themed now, stereotypical picks in an indie roster. If you go like, what's your favourite band? You say Oasis, you almost go like, okay, you don't actually know nothing about this genre of music. That sort of range of the Charlatans. My dad is a very big fan of the Charlatans, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles. Obviously, basically always sort of your basic early picks and entry into this. Sort of what my parents listened to, and a lot of the band members' parents listened to, you know, the Arctic Monkeys, the Libertines, all this. And then slowly over time, that's had an adverse effect. I used to push against it. My dad never used to put it on the radio or downstairs in our house. I always used to go, turn Dad's music off. This is crap. But as time gone on, I've gone the other way, and now even try and champion this music myself. So, you know, irony strong, but.
You know, you just gave me a good news, Leo, because I have a son. I have a 6-year-old son, and I'm playing my music around him, and I hope that one day it's working. And you tell me that it will work, which is nice.
They'll protest against it. Your son will protest. Your son will go, turn Dad's music off. It's crap. It's really bad. It's just full of guitar solos. And then one day he'll turn around and go, that band Guns N' Roses you listen to, they're incredible. When are we seeing them live? And you'll probably have to go, they're all dead. I'm sorry.
You know, I was playing. He had the thing. I don't know if you know. He had the Tony box. This is how it's called in German. It's like you know it.
Yeah.
And I bought a Creative Tony, and he had on his Creative Tony. He had AC/DC. He had Rolling Stones. He had all the good things, which most probably they will be dead by the time he will be big enough to go to the concerts. But he's the only guy. He's the only kid asking for Thunderstruck at the kids' party. So I'm okay.
I've been to Germany a few times. You guys are obsessed with that sort of like AC/DC, Guns N' Roses. You love that sort of like slash sort of, that's obsessed. Like I loved it. We went to like a German sort of like beer festival, and it was just like we thought like, oh, we're not going to be able to know any of the music they play. Like it's all going to be in German. And like we were just like, this is just like great. This is just, we need more of that. Like why haven't we got that? Why?
So I have to say, I'm not originally from Germany. I'm living here since 10 years, but I have to say that this village parties, I don't know how to call them. So the feasts that are happening in the villages, they are not focused on music. So we don't say like in UK you have a field festival or something like this. No, it's just people having like a hobby, the music, and just playing covers, but not doing it on a professional level, but playing good music. Yeah. On small feast, which is I have to say quite nice. I have to say I learned to enjoy it. Yeah. And we should not forget Scorpions is still a German band. AC/DC is destroying everything every time when they come here. As long as they will be singing, so every concert is sold out in the first 20 minutes. Yeah. Wow. Still a nice music scene. Leo, was that a specific moment when you realized, okay, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, it was a collective one between me, Joe Adams, who's our lead guitarist, and Ewan Hawkins, who's our bass player. So Emergency Break, to give like a tiny bit of context, is we used to be a name for our production company. So me, Joe, and Ewan used to go to like Saturday classes together for a bit of like drama, dance, and singing. Nothing sort of like big and serious, but that's how we became friends. We used to go to these classes together, and slowly over years, I've known Joe for many years, and we slowly started realizing we all have the same love for going to concerts and gigs. And we originally, Emergency Break was used to make like fan-made music videos for the Arctic Monkeys. We used to do it to make our own short films, or just that sort of like typical sort of like 14, 15-year-old sort of just going to give everything a go because you can at that age. And we went to a sports team at the Roundhouse in London, which is a really famous venue, just sits at the end of Camden. It's used to be used as like a railway roundhouse to turn the trains. And now it's a gig venue, like Paul McCartney's played there. It's really iconic. And we went to go see a band called Sports Team there. And we turned around after it in the least pretentious way possible and was like, I think we can give this a go ourselves. Like, Joe can play guitar. Ewan's actually starting to pick up bass a little bit. Like, I think I've got the balls enough to give that sort of level of frontman a go, maybe. I don't know. You need to... And we said, like, let's just throw ourselves in the deep end. And if it's embarrassing, then we're just 16-year-olds and we're just giving it a go. And you can 10 years down the line, if it's brought up in the pub, then it's just a joke, you know. And well, here we are 2 years later. Joe went back to his secondary school at the time and said, like, to James, who's our drummer, and Joe, who's our rhythm, who's our rhythm guitarist. And we're like, would you like to be in a band? I know you both do this. Do you want to be in a band? And 2 years later, here we are doing bigger and bigger shows every time and trying to get on as many tours as possible, which is scary, but it's also that collective moment at the Roundhouse with Sports Team was the moment that we all decided that we want to do this, and there's not really much that's going to try and stop us.
I will link the documentary that you have made in the YouTube video, because I think it's really interesting to see it. I watched it, and that's why I kind of know the story, but it's still interesting to hear it from you.
Yeah.
So there was no band before Emergency Break for you?
No, there was no band before Emergency Break. I think Joe, our lead guitarist, Oren, our rhythm guitarist, and James went to school together, like full-time school together. Me, Ewan and Joe in the band, we went to like a Saturday class together. They went to like full-time school together, and I think they were in a few bands here and there with some mates, but nothing like serious. We've all only ever been in one band, and it's Emergency Break. And fingers crossed we all plan on keeping it that way, unless we're having solo careers at, I don't know, 19 and 20, which I really doubt.
That's not your typical musical career, but let's hope.
No, we're really thankful because drummers are so hard to come by, and sort of and bass players actually, because I like as much as I love you, and not many people want to be on the bass. But I think Ewan is a unique offering in the bass player world. But in that, like, we are one of the only bands that we are aware of that actually do have we only exist in Emergency Break. Like, you can't find me singing in a pub on a Sunday for, I don't know, Leo and the Things or whatever. Do you know what I mean? We know a lot of bands where the drummer is the drummer in about 8 other bands, and it's and we are really thankful for that.
Okay, that's really cool. I mean, the bass player is not taking the main stage. And I'm just saying, if we talk about the other bands, there are less bass players who are really known from the band. So I think that makes sense what you're saying, that not really a lot of people want to.
Yeah, no, a lot of people want to step up to it, but Ewan offers a unique offering to the bass player. He's a little bit more crazier than your usual bass player. But yeah, no, I think a lot of people do usually step away from that role, shy away, because, you know, it's usually seen as the man at the back, you know. Yeah.
And then you had that let's go moment in which you said, okay, I think we can give it a try. How did it went on from that moment?
So we set us as a really big goal, and especially for a London-based band. There's a really iconic venue called the Camden Assembly, which again is on this stretch. So there's a stretch of Camden Road, and there's so many iconic venues on it. We want to play every single one. We've got basically 3 of the big ones left where you need to be selling thousands of tickets, but we've done every other one, other than obviously Roundhouse, which I mentioned, the Electric Ballroom, and I think it's Coco at the end. There's a few others here and there, the Underworld. We don't sell thousands of tickets just yet, hopefully. So, but we set us as a big goal. The Camden Assembly is a 200 capacity, and we were like, okay, this is our first ever gig. 6 months we've got to sell this. We were like, okay, we want to sell this out on our name as well. As much as we love the supports we had on this show, we wanted to prove to ourselves that maybe we can do this. There's no bigger way to middle finger this all and worm your way in, then coming in with this. And at first, it didn't sell incredible. And then we were like, okay, right, is this a sign of how this is going? And then we sold it out, like I think 3 weeks out. And we were like, okay, that's 200 people all coming to see it because they've seen the photos we've put up online. Like, you got to bear in mind, there was no word of mouth that these guys are cool live. There's no music for anyone to listen to. Nothing exists on the internet other than this new band are playing here. And a lot of our first gig was about 50% our friends and family, and the 50% people who were probably hoping that this band are going to absolutely sink this show like the Titanic on stage. And it was an all right show. We played others here and there. It was a band of 16-year-olds, if I'm being honest, and that's what it was. But I think we loved every moment of it, that it meant that we were going to do anything to make it happen. And Oren, I remember Oren, who's our rhythm guitarist, actually was on holiday. This is how unserious we were about this show. It's quite a big achievement for your first gig. Oren actually went on holiday during the gig, and we had to get someone else in to play guitar. And it was like, and Oren's biggest regret to this date is the fact that he never played this show. But it was like, we look back and go, we were so unserious about how big of a deal this actually is. Like, and we know bands on tours now who come around and their London date is that venue. And we're like, we did that in our first 6 months. Actually, I still haven't fully come to our senses, and not in like an ego way, just we haven't stopped to look back and go like, it's always just been the next thing. And yeah.
That's impressive, man. I have to say that's impressive for the first gig. Like you said, everyone is relying on the pictures that they've seen online and say, okay.
Yeah, and they were bad. They were not good photos. They were not taken. No joke. They were taken with an iPhone camera, and then Joe cropped out this crappy studio in the background and put a blue thing. Like,
man, you and Greg, you have to work on your marketing, man. That you even though they were not so good, you have to say they were the best photos ever.
Yeah, but we did. We ended up with this, so now we have a little book remembering it. But that is obviously this is the full band. Other than obviously this is a lad called Adam who stood in for Oren. But it's just crazy how that really did.
Nice. If you send me a picture of it, I will put it as a share, because I think it's better than the camera view of it.
But yeah, that's more than enough wind in any young band's sails to want to go and kill it all.
And how was the feeling? Like, you 16, you don't even. I mean, it must have been an amazing feeling to be on the stage to sing. Did you have your own songs already?
Yeah, so we debuted a lot of songs that have become iconic now, and it's become a bit of a cult gig. There's some people who were like, this was the first time I ever saw you, and I still have the top from that gig, and they come to our shows that we do now. And there's a lot of songs that don't exactly sound the same to what they did now, as they're a lot more fully fleshed. And we've had a lot more gigs in our belt to know sort of what to do with these songs. But a lot of people are like, yeah, I was there to see the debut of It's Over, or the debut of this song, or that. And it's like really weird. It's like, yeah, we wrote them songs almost in like a flurry rush. I didn't even like, I stopped to know what they meant. And I was like, well, I know what this was about, but I was so busy just trying to get the feelings across that I didn't actually go like, oh, this song could actually affect someone. And they are, the songs that come out of that early era are very crazy. Like Pyro, like you mentioned, is literally about a messy breakup all happening on a Sunday night of a music festival. And in the United Kingdom, Sunday night of a music festival is basically Mad Max Fury Road. Like, it's just fire. It literally is fire. Kids who have just had their exam results throwing tents everywhere. The last of your drink is necked, whether you have 2 bottles of vodka or half. That is just how it goes. And that's what that song is about. And people, and obviously, because we're 16 and our audience are 16-year-olds, people go, well, do you know what? I did have a little thing at a festival. I can relate to this. And it was like, hold on, what we're actually writing is kind of randomly sticking. And it kept us carry on and write a lot more and put our hearts on our sleeves a lot more. Like, a lot more of our songs now we're putting our hearts on our sleeves. We released Hometown last year, which is about, the connection of leaving home for me and moving to New York for a year. And what that means, and the stories you hear when you're 9 hours away in a different time zone, and the people that you can't control anymore because you're out of control somewhere else with no friends. And, and it did encourage us, even though how pathetic them early songs and what they're about. One of them is called It's Over, and it is just about a girl that we all knew who loved the night out with a fake ID, And it's like, well, hold on, there is some realism to that people can relate to, unfortunately. And it did encourage us to just go, do you know what? Screw it. So what if that person does this in a song? Go, this is about me. Okay, and that's been the motivation ever since.
That's how it should be, right? So it should be about you, and I think that's the most important. It should make you happy. How would you describe the sound of Emergency Brake for someone that didn't heard you? Let's pretend I haven't heard any song of yours, even though I did, and I started to love Hometown. I have to be honest. I'm singing it every once in a while by myself. But how would you describe your sound?
Our sound is, I'd say it's very raw, and it's energetic, and it's unapologetic. It's not, especially our recorded songs, they aren't the most polished things. They don't smell like we've had £2,000 thrown at it to make it sound in your ears going, that's Dolby Atmos. That's been made on them speakers, But what I think that accounts for is the rawness of the songs. The take that's used in the Hometown recording is the 8th take we recorded.
Take a look at yourself. We used to talk of the time and dance around the ceiling, playing with your wrist for that feeling. And we used to talk for hours by the stones and their past comes. Now you're standing all the time, and your shoulders, they're just wide. Sitting on the
my voice was tripping at that point. You know, it's a really actually quite a straining song on the vocals. And at the 8th take of that song, I'm trembling a bit. And that's the vocal take that makes it into the track, because it just holds the most here. And I think that's the best way to describe our music is, you know, it might not sound the best in your headphones, but the message that we're putting across and the way we are using our instruments is an offering that a lot of people are yet to turn down. And that's what I love about us. We're just unapologetic with what we want to talk about and how we're going to go about it. And we have some nasty guitar riffs in there and some loud drums just to complement that.
Who's writing the songs? Are you together doing the, or take us through the process? How is it working usually?
It's a mix here and there. James, our drummer, does actually do a lot of our demos, but in terms of lyrics do come from me. And then Joe writes a lot of our riffs and sort of early bones of a song, and then we all sort of come together really like once every sort of 2 weeks to a month, and we go like, look, this is the last 6 songs I've written. These are the last 6, and then we look at each other and we go like, and then we kind of put them all together into one ultimate song. And that's kind of how we've moved ever since then. And it seems to be how we've made our best work. Hometown is the mixture, that intro-y bit that's slow, the bit that's in the middle of the breakdown. They're all 4 different song ideas taken into one great song. And that's how we make our most unique offerings, I think, in terms of music. And that's really how we've written ever since. Maybe we should probably start changing that up, because it is a very messy way of putting together a song, but we love that process, and we feel like it's unique. I don't know. You could have a band on it next week and they tell me it's not, but we feel like it's very unique.
It absolutely. Do you feel the need somehow to get into the trend?
In terms of what? Sorry.
In terms of sound, like, because you're not a commercial. You're not a typical commercial band. Do you feel somehow the impulse or the pressure to get to fit into the trends?
There's a slight here and there every now and then when you play the music to someone who sees the photos online, sees the gigs, see how exciting it is, and then you play them a song and they almost look a little bit disheartened. They go like, "Oh, okay, hold on, this isn't what I was envisioning." But we kind of love that it isn't sometimes exactly for everyone, and there's no push to want it to sort of sound the same. And we are, like I said, sort of really proud of sort of how unique certain tracks can sound. So currently, no, we don't really feel. Maybe in the future there might be a feel of, oh no, we're never going to get number 1, but we're not worrying about a number 1 charting record right now. But yeah, no, there is a pressure, because we want to be a unique offering, and that's always what we've been. And I feel like we'd be going against what we've said. You know, we've done 2 years of saying this, and now I've turned around and written a song that sounds like an Ed Sheeran song. I think actually it would probably annoy the people who do come and listen to our music. They would, you know, we might gain 1,000 more followers, but the 2,000 we have will be very annoyed. So yeah. Also, there's a lot of that right now. It's mainstream because there is a lot of it, and that is what's popular. So we're happy to add a unique offering that isn't that, because there's thousands of that being pumped out every day. And that's not me saying it's bad. It's just not for us. And we know it's not for everyone out there as well. So, you know, and we're willing to spend a little bit more time to find the audience that is willing to gravitate towards our noise.
I think Ed Sheeran was the one that said that you can sing today's music with the same 4 chords, and I think as long as you don't fit into that narrative, it makes you special and makes you something else than the others are. And I think that's something that we need. We need something that is original. We need something that it's saying something else that the 90% of the music is saying.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing, Leo, and I don't know, this is for me, with this podcast that I'm doing, it's for me the most important is that I enjoy the conversation, that I like the discussion, and if I do it, I'm okay with losing 2,000 followers. I don't have them, but I'm okay with losing them.
Yeah. No, we think it's also really sad, where if we're tapping on sort of mainstream, is we think it's really sad that, like, our generation in terms of guitar music, you know, rock and roll, if you want to call it that, the iconic rock and roll icon pedestal, we don't have that as a generation. Like, we kicked off the start of this conversation by me going, yeah, I listen to my mum and dad's music, I listen to Oasis, Blur, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and there are offerings that are coming very close in our generation. Our generation doesn't have a voice in that, currently, if I was to have kids tomorrow and they turn around and go, play me the music you listened to as a teenager, I'm whipping out a 1999 album, you know, in terms of guitar music and offering. And there are bands on the rise. There's bands like Fontaines, Wonderhorse. I'm not saying that these don't exist, but it's, you know, it's also giving sort of our generation a voice and a unique colouring, because in the 90s, that painted the way people dressed. It painted what people drank. It painted how people spoke, what they did, and where they hung out, even in a city, you know. And I don't think fully as a generation, we don't have that. And we actually look more to the past when a lot more generations looked forward. And I think, you know.
But that's an amazing point. I never thought about this, but you're actually right. I don't think I know any band that it's coming new now and it sings this kind of music that you say it's iconic. Do you have one?
I'd say the closest we're getting currently are Fontaines DC and Wonderhorse. Two British one's Irish, Wonderhorse are from London and Cornwall. They're the two sort of the closest that are on that rise up. But I think what's happening with our I don't know. I feel like as a generation, when I talk to a lot of bands, we all seem to be looking back. We all seem to want to, you know, we all want to dress like Oasis. We all want to dress like the Libertines. And it's not because, and I'm not saying that's old and outdated, but it's because we don't have a version that's closer to us. That's the closest we've got is the 90s. And, you know, I'm a kid born in 2005. You know, I think Oasis had been pretty much disbanded in the time that I was born. Like before I was born.
You just made me realize again how old I am.
But, you know, and that's what's scary, and that's what also makes us not want to tip into that mainstream barrel, because it's like, well, hopefully, I don't know, it doesn't have to be us, but I hope that in 10, 20 years' time, we go like, that was our era. That was...
You open a crazy thought in my head, and now I have to ask you, why do you think this lack of creativity in your generation, Leo?
I think COVID hasn't helped. I think the pandemic. So a lot of bands on the London scene, including us, are being called a post-pandemic band. So that's a lot what the on the London sort of scene and the UK sort of music scene, we get tarnished with this brush now. So do a lot of acts that have come out of COVID, and it seems to be, I think, because things were on the rise, and then that's kind of cut the cord and the momentum on it. But I also think it doesn't help that money doesn't exactly get thrown into grassroots music, because it doesn't make people money straight away. I think that's also part of it. I think it's also harder as a musician now. You know, I can upload a song onto Spotify and it drop on there tomorrow morning. You know, 20 years ago, I was lucky to walk into a studio and have it put on a tape that only had 10 hours on it. And, you know, I've got to fit 20 other bands on this 10 hours. You know, so in that, when you release the single, it was a very big deal because you were very lucky if you got to put a single out. And because now anyone can put anything out, I feel like you're fighting a bigger pool to be noticed. And there's people trying to play all different types of game. There isn't, you get spotted in a bar by a guy who knows a guy and suddenly you're selling out Wembley 3 years later. You know, it's now, let's hope I put out a right TikTok at a right time, that the right people listen to the right music. And maybe if I'm silly enough and I make a fool of myself, someone might finally decide to boot up Spotify and search my name. And I think that's why, because I think things have just countered back. But I think things are on the rise. Vinyl sales are through the roof. Things are picking up in a different realm. I think people are making their voice more heard about how this is changing. And I think the climate is changing. If I'm being honest, I think it'll be a very different state of play in 2 years. Yeah.
Everyone is searching for that overnight celebrity. Everyone is searching for the overnight money. Everyone is searching for the overnight success, and they hope they will be viral tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, or yesterday maybe. And nobody's in for the creative process. Nobody to stay in to write the songs, to take the time to put the hours in. Yeah, you're right. It could be that's it. But do you think it plays a role inside this also, the fact that people are, let's say, brain rotted with social media?
I think it has its pluses and its minuses. You know, I can upload an Instagram reel tomorrow and it'll get 2 million views, and my next single doesn't. That's it. That's it. We have 100k followers on Instagram, and suddenly we're on this big support. You know, what's great about it is it can change you like that. But what's also sad about that is I know tons of people who write incredible music that will never be half as discovered purely because they didn't put that post out at the right time. And I think if you play into the game of it all, which everybody is always trying to and try and keep up, you can win out of it. It does just feel like entering the lottery sometimes, or putting your ball in one of them bingo things and hoping you're the one picked. But yeah. But the positive is anyone can become famous. Anyone can have a number one charting single, because anyone can actually do this. And I don't actually will say it belittles anyone. It doesn't go like, just because anyone can do it doesn't mean anyone's, good at it. But I think there is also something great about that, because I could put out an Instagram reel tomorrow, and by the time this comes out, we've had a charted number one single. I doubt it. I really doubt it. But and that's also something quite beautiful about that. But
yeah, true. That you have to see the positive and negatives of it. Absolutely. Leo, on the top of being a musician, you also run a music festival. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this year will be the third edition.
It'll be the second edition.
Only the second, because initially I saw that it started in 2023, but most probably started with the organization in 23 for the.
Yeah, so it's had a few like slow events to build to it. Mm-hmm. So like you can argue it is our third year in terms of actually creating an event and creating a lineup. Yeah. But as a brand itself, we're going into our second year. So yeah, it is a bit. I do agree that it's a tiny bit confusing. Yeah.
What is it to be on the other side of the industry?
It's weird. It's difficult to put. It's very difficult to put that together. It's a headache. You know, like the minute you've just sorted the last one, your head is already thinking at the back, I've got to do the next one already. And I've kind of got to already have the next one booked, probably about 3 months before I've got the current one out. But it's a really interesting. I'm actually really grateful that I'm in a position where I get to do this as an opportunity. A lot of what we originally did it for was a lot of the bands, including us, were, applying for hundreds of festivals every summer and was not hearing back. And that's not purely because, they're bad musicians or there's just festivals these days are so inundated with so many acts that you can only pick 100 or not, sometimes even that 20. So, of course, like someone is always going to be left out. That's just the unfortunate truth. And it's not saying that their music's bad. Sometimes it's just luck. It's that bingo ball in the little roller. And a lot of our mates were coming back to us saying just like, yeah, I've applied for so many festivals and we're not playing one. And we just turned around and went, look, if everybody's willing to come together, we'll create a day of music, put it on, literally organise a piss up in a brewery, and all share our music together, some acoustic acts, some big bands, some smaller bands, and then we'll top it with a great headliner, someone who's iconic. And that's what we did. And it was so successful that I get Instagram DMs every day asking when next year's lineup is going to drop. And it is coming very soon. It's coming literally in weeks. Like literally weeks. I have the poster on my desktop, which will probably wind a lot of people up. But yeah, no, and I'm really thankful to be able to. I don't want to say have the power to do that, but to get to put on an event like that, because it is so great. But on the flip side of it, it can be a real pain in the arse to make that happen. And you suddenly do sympathise for the people who do that. But I do it with 20 bands. I can't imagine doing it with about 300. Like these festival lineups sometimes book about 200 acts. Some of the bigger festivals in Europe can almost have pushing like 600 bands on like Boomtown in the United Kingdom and Glastonbury. Glastonbury claims it had over 1,000 acts play last year. It's like, I can't even create 20 without wanting to blow up. How are you creating 1,000, And it's like, but yeah, it's really interesting. And it's a lot of fun. If I'm being honest, it's a lot of fun.
I've seen your interview that you gave during the festival, and you said, you know what, I hope one day I will just come in, do my gig, and then just enjoy the festival. I realized when I saw that it must be a pain in the arse. So
Yeah, no, I really hope one day that it comes in, I become in a position where, so like last year, we obviously put ourselves on the lineup, which come to some half critical acclaim. Some people are like, well, of course you're going to put yourself on the line. Then some people are like, oh, come on, no, of course you put yourself up there. You know,
Of course.
I do sort of, I sort of get it. And I remember it was like midday, and we just put all the stages in. We had everything. So it's been going right. It's been going well. And the first band's going, and I looked at the clock and I just went, my band don't walk on till like in 7 hours. And that's half an hour I've got to be on it. And usually I get up in the morning with just that half an hour set in mind. But today I've got every other band's half an hour set in mind. A headliner, making sure everybody is fed, the crew's fed, everything goes like clockwork. And then maybe if I'm lucky, my band might get to walk on stage at 8 o'clock. And it was like, wow. And I said in that interview, I went, the dream one day is just that I got my band to play in my festival, I wake up and walk on stage. That probably will never be the case ever in my life. If I'm being dead honest, that will never happen. But, you know, it's also a privilege to be able to have that as a stress. I am also very aware of that. And it's a nice scary, like it's a satisfying scary, because when you see everybody together having a good time, like the pints are being poured, everybody's singing along to this band that maybe they didn't even know 20 minutes ago. There's something very enriching about that you can't put a price on, in my opinion. So yeah.
Was this a dream of yours, Leo, or it just came from the need of singing, or from the wish of singing and the frustration that it took you so long to get into festivals?
It's a bit of both. It's something I've always wanted to do, but I didn't think I had the power to pull off. I think so. You said it to that side of the brain where you go, you know, shut up, this isn't happening. But then there's also, there was the frustration of like, you know, we need to take action now because we're only young once. And, you know, for all I know, some of these bands, they call it a day because this isn't happening. And I know, and obviously I'm not naive enough to know the understanding that these things don't happen overnight. You know, some people take 5 years before they even get the major festival. I'm not naive to that, but it was more, you know, we can take action now and we can put this in our hands and still have a great day, and everybody can walk away with more fans, more people listening to their music, and, you know, everyone happy. So, you know, and what I thought had a unique offering to the festival was, I know what it's like from the artist's perspective to turn up at a festival, know nobody, find the promoter, try and put your amps down somewhere safe. But I also know the perspective of going to one as a fan. So I was like, well, yeah, this is a unique offering that hopefully I can sandwich these together and everybody walks away completely satisfied. Hopefully they did. I haven't heard anyone say anything bad about last year. Maybe this podcast will dig someone out who had a horrendous time and hated every single act, including the lad who dressed as a cowboy. Me. But, you know, I'm yet to find anyone who didn't have an incredible day. I'm sure there is someone who went home at 6 o'clock and hated every minute of it, but, you know.
Oh, most probably they had too much alcohol and then they felt sick.
You know, they probably got airlifted out. That was a lot. There was a lot of that, actually.
So most probably, I mean, man, you can never make everyone happy. Never. There is no such a thing, and we should start trying. Well, if you enjoy that's the nicest thing. You mentioned the cowboy moment, and I have to ask you, besides the cowboy costume, was that any unforgettable moment from the past edition?
That cowboy moment is, I'm going to touch on it just because it is purely ironic and like quite iconic for us. Because obviously all day people had seen my face, and the band had been helping me out all day loading. And people had seen us all day and knew that we were the band on 8 o'clock. And I think in that a little bit, we garnered just a little bit more of a crowd because people sort of were like, oh, okay, let's actually see what they're about. Because I've seen them lifting amps all day and sweating. But then we played like this cowboy intro and we all walked through the thick of the crowd. And it, you know, I was wearing this like YMCA denim jacket. And it was like, hold on, we've seen this guy all day in all black lifting amps. Why is he dressed like a cowboy, smoking a fake cigarette? And now they're singing indie songs. And within about 3 songs, the top was off because it was so warm in there. That was literally beading down my face. But I'd say that probably is the most iconic moment. But if not, there is a lot. But I think I'm going to say just overall, the companionship of every single band, every single photographer, every single bit of crew on that day that came together. There wasn't anyone who turned up on that day not wanting that day to not go how it went. And that's something that I can only testament to, like, the 100 people, including the artists, that helped me also put up. Like, you know, as much as I put the poster together and reach out to the bands, there is also everyone else has to gel together at the end of the day and make this thing work. Otherwise, it will sink in two halves. And I'd say that is the most iconic moment of the day, that it was pulled off, and it was pulled off so effortlessly. You would think that we'd all done millions of events, everybody, you know. And a few people did question us, going, "This isn't your first time doing this." I was like, "Yeah, it is. We're all sweating, and I can't wait to go to bed, because not on top of that, I've also sung today. I had like no voice, and it was like, yeah, no, I need to go home. I'm drained." But you know, and as much as that is a compliment, you know, it's.
Did you get to get any food in that day?
No, I don't think I ate. To be honest, I think I would have been sick from those. I drank a lot of IPA, so we hosted it in an IPA brewery, and we like take the brewery out and we put it in. I probably had more beer than anything else that day, and I love IPA, so I was like, okay. But and that's one of the reasons why I did host it there, maybe selfishly, but but no, I did not eat that whole day.
Do you usually focus only on emerging artists, or you?
No, so what the aim of the festival?
To get the mix.
Hopefully, as the years go on, I could sort of champion the message a little bit more. What we want to do is we want to take artists who are smaller and like us. Like I'm not saying that we are bigger than them, because we are completely in this same field, and that's also part of the reason why I do it. And put us together with some bigger acts. So, you know, but we mainly look at artists who are bigger, who have climbed through the grassroots, who have done it themselves, done it independently. So this year's headliner have been around, despite only being sort of 20, 25, have been around for about 10 years. They've been doing it since about 16, 15. And they've not really had management. They've not really had a record label or anything huge. They've done it purely for the love and the graft of it. And they're the headliners we want to put on to show us that this is possible, that you can do this, you can sell out, you know, 600 cap rooms every night up and down the country. And that's hopefully the aim of it as we get more and more on. I want to bring together bands our size and put them with a couple of acts that can prove that you can make this happen. We just have to keep at it. And that's hopefully where it should go.
What's the process? So let's not talk about 25, because you said already that the lineup is almost finished, or maybe finished. Let's not give that up. Give that up.
No, I'd have a back contract land on my desk if I mentioned certain acts. That's a problem that's I never fully knew till I dealt with this. It's like you have to make sure everyone's contracts line up at the right time so you can all announce. And that can be a headache. I might just pay someone just to do that, because, like, you know, that's tough in itself.
But what's the process of getting into the festival?
So if you want to play, for example, okay, so there's a whole number of ways to get to play on the Meadow. Mainly it's just if you do reach out to us, 9 times out of 10, you know, if you the lineup does book up very quickly. Like even 2026, we haven't even had 2025 come out. We've already confirmed like 4 or 5 acts, and it's like, hold on, we're not, like, I don't even know who's headlining it yet. But we usually open and apply to play. And we have like a set of panels go for it. So this year we had 1.6k applications to play the festival. And what makes that really hard is a lot of the bands are grassroots. A lot of the bands are just like us, with the exact same followers, sold the exact same shows. But what annoys me and upsets me is I can't honour everyone. You know, I have about 26 slots to fill, and I wish I could put 1,000 bands on, but I'm not Boomtown, unfortunately, or Glastonbury. Maybe one day, maybe. But that's the hardest part, or how it all comes together, is just slowly, bit by bit. Like, I just start putting out feelers everywhere, and certain acts come to you and you sort of land on your feet a little bit with it. And in some you have to not push for, but you sort of have to reach out, and it's a couple of emails and it's this and that. And it's come together uniquely every time. Like, I can never go like, this is how to do it, this is the formula. It kind of all puzzles together, and then when you're looking for the last piece, you've been sitting on it, and then that's it, it's ready. But yeah, no, if you are an artist that wants to get on the lineup, I always encourage you to email us, or we always open apply to play, and we do take a look at it. It takes us so long because we do genuinely vow to check every single band out. And it took us, I remember people messaging us being like, it closed 4 weeks ago, when are we going to hear a response? I'm like, we're at 700 of 1.1 UK bands. Like, just bear with us because, you know, there's other things we have on top of this, unfortunately. But yeah, no, yeah. But again, as like I said, it's a privilege to be able to do it. So yeah.
The selection process, I think it's let's say good and bad in the same time, because you get to listen to a lot of music, but then not only enjoying the music as the process of listening to music, but also getting somehow to see, okay, which one fits better with the other one.
Yeah, no, and that's also what we try to do. We try to make it that our lineup feels progressive as well. That's actually quite hard, and we didn't you know, all the artists were great last year, but we didn't nail that in terms of how it progressed the day. We sort of actually put some heavier bands lower. We should have probably more went into it the day. Like, you kind of want to slowly build up instead of like this, because people will go like, well, I've only just turned up and had one beer. I'm not ready to go jump in that, you know. But then some people are 4 beers deep and they're ready to jump in that. So if you sort of come with that, then that is sometimes the hardest part, because sometimes I absolutely fall in love with an artist and I'm like, it's just not gonna fit. And it's like, and I always try and find other like opportunities and stuff like that. And if people are keen, I do sort of always try and help them out in other things and stuff like that. But yeah, it's tough. I hate it because it's because I know what it's like, and it's it makes me so upset, because I'm just like, I can't. And that's why I leave it to sort of like a panel of trusted people to go through it, not fully me, because I'll end up booking 1.6k bands, and there'll be more bands in there than people who have bought tickets.
I think what I think it's fair to say, Leo, is that it's not about who's the best or who's singing that, or let me put it the other way around. If the people are not selected, they are not singing, right? It's just they don't fit the lineup, and I think that's important for everyone to know. What I want to say is that you should, if you want to sing, write Leo. He will answer. He's reacting really good on Instagram as well, based on my own experience. So I would say just write. He's reacting quite nice. Let's say, coming back to emergency break, Leo, the reason why you put up the festival is because you wanted to sing as well. And emergency break, as far as I've seen the concerts that are on YouTube, they are making so you are making a live show, a wild live show. You had a lot of concerts in UK, but there is one date which somehow comes out from your concert lineup, and that's the 12th of July 2024. And tell me about that day. So maybe it's nicer when people are hearing from you what happened in that day.
So 12th of July is a really iconic day. As you can see by you just saying that day, it put a smile on my face. Because I knew straight away what you were talking about. And anyone in the band you could talk to will know that's such an iconic day. So that was about just a year on from that 200 capacity show that we were on about. It was just a little bit over that. It was about a couple of days. We tried to originally make it was bang on a year on. Bang on a year on. Hold on, was it a year on? Yeah, bang on a year on. But it didn't really originally fall out just because of how venues were. They're booked here, but they're closed. But we got as close as we could. We announced that we did a big charity gig for War Child in the January of that year. So I came back from New York just for that show. He came back and we said at the show, like, oh, who's up for an even bigger party with 250 of you? And everyone was like, yeah. We'll see you at O2 Academy, Islington. So playing an O2 Academy venue in the United Kingdom is a very big deal. As you almost like you take their your virginity, if you want to call it that. Like that, it's a big like it's a stepping stone up. Like for some people, they might not even turn their eyes or even decide to listen to you until you're sort of like playing O2 Academy. And we knew sort of the chops that came with that. And we were like, ever so slightly scared. And we were like, are we going to sell this in July when everyone, 90% of people are at festivals and stuff like that? Is everyone actually going to show up for this? We sold it out, and we had 2 incredible supports. And it was probably just one of the most iconic nights ever. I remember walking out on that stage and just thinking, there's a moment we have the whole concert movie up on thing and sort of the moments leading up to it and stuff like that, all on YouTube to watch. So if you are listening to this and think, I don't live in London, go check it out. And you've mentioned it in Dispatches as well. you can see it just in that first moment of we played Hometown, and when live we do a break in it, like we pause the song. It's in the recording, but it's milliseconds. But in the thing, and I usually go like, whatever venue we're playing, how you doing? But this time we had a phone. I picked up, and I remember just thinking, like, I almost didn't say the words. Like my chest, I could almost hear my heart beating through my ears. Like, and in the second song, I always famously get in the crowd for a song called Pyro, which is the one about a festival. And I just remember going like, I don't know, I just suddenly lost all the strength in my body to get over this barrier. I was just like, this isn't happening. Like, this isn't us. And I just remember thinking like, it was a fever dream. And for that, it is such an iconic day. And it's another day where just a lot of people came together. The film crew that helped us film it, everybody helped us load in and out. Because, you know, usually if you get to play a venue like that, usually you've got some sort of big tour crew, or you're getting to that level. Usually there is 10 or 20 people on your team that are doing everything, not for you, but like are helping out. And to all the people that did step up and basically stand in to make that happen, that's why it's such an iconic day. I mean, I don't know what was more buzzing, the 250 people in that crowd before we came out, or backstage, because backstage had so many photographers, so many great like press people, and we were just all talking and all buzzing. There was no sort of like, you know, backstabbing to anything. It was just this great camaraderie, and that's why we went out there, and it was probably one of our best live shows to date. You know, I think I crowd surfed about 3 times, which usually in the show it happens once if you're lucky. And you don't try and push it as well. Like, you know, you want it to happen. Like, you know, we just did our January show at the Grace, and I got in the crowd on the last song, and just like that, I was up and I kissed the disco balls. And it's like, you know, it's like these things happen, and it's more painful to plan them and walk out going, I'm going to crowd surf. I'm going to climb on the table on this one. Do you know what? I'm going to nick so-and-so's drink over there in the crowd during this bit. It's more fun to just go, I stand on the barrier, and suddenly someone has pulled me by my shirt and I'm swimming in everyone. You know, that's a lot more exciting. It's a lot more exciting for everyone else than these planned bits, because a lot of bands do that. And we do it here and there. Sometimes we do for health and safety. You have to go, yeah, if I'm going to crowd surf, it will be on this track. Sometimes you have to go like, if it's going to happen, it will happen on these 3 songs to help. Because if you watch the movie, you'll see that Security by the last song, we get everyone like, we're not on it. So that venue, despite it's an O2 venue, it's actually famous for rap artists. It's a lot famous for more hip hop things. Like, it's actually crazy. A lot of venues in London are tarnished with a certain genre brush, and we didn't fully know that. But then we go into the dressing room, and there's like posters of when Stormzy played here, you know, and we're thinking like, hold on, you know, we're like a punk rock band. And the security like looked at us and they were like, you know, it's not going to be like mosh pits, is it? Like, it's not going to be people. And I just went like, oh, like, don't know, you can go talk to so-and-so. And then they probably went and spoke to so-and-so, and they probably went, and they probably gave up. First song, everybody was just running at each other, jumping. I think how a gig should be. It's a release. It's a way to stop feeling like, you know, you're working a 9 to 5, or, you know, you've got to pick up that phone call. So, you know, people can do whatever they want to some degree. Like, okay, there is a line, but, you know, and I think they weren't fully ready or prepared for what entailed of that show. And you can see that the security guy picks me up like a baby in that final song and puts me over the bar and goes, you're not getting back in there anymore. Like, you know, but there is something quite awesome about that. And it's quite a rock and roll night in terms of, for a band our level, we felt quite rock and roll.
This is what I said in the episode with Greg as well, that I think that the role of music and of any of the artistic or of any of the arts is to get you out from your daily, to get you out from your whatever you do from 9 to 5, from I don't know, and go there, and for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 hour, how long is the concert, or how long is the song, you should be somewhere else.
And that's why we're called Emergency Break. That is literally why we are called that. We originally called the production company that as being like, we're going to make things that break you from the ordinary, break you from that every day. And then, you know, that spiraled into the band's message. And that's why we are called that. People go like, why are you called Emergency Break? It's like, we want to make a show that is like a break from everything else going on in the world. And in that hour, we promise not to talk about what's going on outside of there, because it's just about right in here. And we've always been like that. And we don't engage in whoever's been elected or whatever's gone on out there. We don't engage in that. It's about what's going on in here and who's jumping in here. And we've stuck to that, and we don't plan on ever stopping. And that is why we are called that. So it's perfect that we've lapped that in.
You were mentioning the fact that you don't plan to do crowd surfing. Do you have any pre-show ritual that you do before you step on the stage?
Usually usually it depends on the gig, but we're not like a bundle of nerves. We're a bundle of like apprehension. We just want to go out there and do it. Sometimes some of the worst gigs you can do are like the support slot or the headline slot. Like the support slot when you're in the middle, or the headline. If you're the headline and you've got 2 acts on before you, say, for example, our sold out show at the Grace just a couple of weeks ago, you know, there were 2 great bands on before us, and we love both of them, Quickfire and the London Outfit, and a girl group called Archangels. And they were getting the crowd jumping, getting everyone low, all that. And you're watching that from backstage and you're thinking, it's almost time. It's almost time. And it's not a nervousness. It's like, you almost get jealous of your own crowd that are out there already having fun. You're like, I just want to get out there now and play Hometown. And I think if most 90% of even arena level selling bands had it their way, they'd probably walk on at 8:30 because the jitters would get to them in a good way. They'd just want to walk out there. There must be someone when you get to that level that has to just tell you to sit in this room and lock you in there, because we go mental. We're like, and it's not even in like a jealousy way. It's just more in like, there's something in us that just goes, I need to do it. I've just got to do it now. Like, especially like as a band now, I can't talk for 20 years ago. It's a lot more than just the gig. Actually stepping out there and playing Hometown to your fans or the crowd that have turned up, that's the privilege and that is the fun. And that is true no matter what. But it's a lot more than that. It's posting it and doing ads on social media 3 months in advance. It's telling everybody you know that has come to a gig before this is happening. Maybe doing a few support slots and making sure that a few of them people come down. It's postering all over Camden and places you know people like that music and go to. It's going to the right bars and going, you'd like my band, and not being annoying about it. And so to walk on stage, sometimes you go like, there's a lot more to it than it's just a gig. And I think a lot of people do recognise that. And that's also what, we love. I love currently about the London scene. I can't speak for any other music scenes elsewhere in even the country, but that's what I love about the music scene. A lot of people recognise that there's a camaraderie to help everyone out.
What's easier, Leo, to be a supporting band or to be a headliner?
A headliner. I think okay, I have more fun being the support act, but it's easier to be the headline if it's your crowd. If it's your crowd, like, okay, like psychologically, like it's just because you're going to get the satisfaction of we're going to play Hometown and everybody's going to sing that back to us. But I personally enjoy the support slot because I like the challenge of trying to win over 600 people to go, Hometown was a good song. Let me go and listen to that on Spotify. I prefer that challenge. But I know some members in the band will go, no, headline show always. But it also depends on the slot. Like, you're only as good as your last gig, which is what someone said to me. And we all carry that mentality now. And that's probably the best mentality to have. You are as only good as your last gig. And it also is a strive to be better. Because if that last gig was crap, you're going to come back 100 times stronger.
I've seen a lot of your YouTube videos, a lot of the shows that you played live. Unfortunately, you made me wanted to see you live, actually live, I have to be honest. And most probably by the time I promised Greg that we do a face-to-face episode when he's getting to 10,000, but I want to do the same. I want to make the same promise with you that I'm driving to London only to do a face-to-face episode. But I have to ask you, Leo, which was your worst live performance?
Oh, I've got a really good story because this has an ending. So I think I've shared this story, or the band have in some capacity somewhere. No clue where. It probably exists in some deadpan somewhere in the internet. But so one of our first ever shows, it was a couple of weeks after we did the Camden show. We played a great festival called Rock in the Park, which is in Stevenage. It's where you and our bass player is from. It's a really great day festival. They celebrate sort of that area of the UK. A lot of people come together. There's this big stage and all the local talent come on. A big crowd turns. Everyone just goes mental for anyone. And it's great. And we got booked on this slot when we were a band that you could only go off of images. No live music, no nothing. And we couldn't believe how we got on it. And if you want me to be honest already, it's a recipe for disaster because you're correct. We shouldn't have been put on this. Anyway, we walk out there. We prepared like 20 minutes of material because we told we had like a 30-minute set. Well, we thought we had a 30-minute set. This is it straight away. We were naive enough to think we just had 30 minutes. We had an hour. We only had 20 minutes of music time. So we're like, okay, we'll talk in between. We'll get to it. We ran out of basically music. We then did this impromptu acoustic guitar number. Horrendous. So I don't know why we decided that you and our bass player should suddenly pick up an acoustic guitar when we had two capable guitarist. It just fell to pieces. The mic started ringing. It didn't go to plan. And we all will openly admit, if you mention that gig, we bottled it because we wish we turned up and smashed it. But it has a resolution because now, 2 years later, we are returning this year on June 13th, and we are the headliner. We are the headliner. So this year, we have to turn up. And, we're a lot more confident in our live show 2 years down the line because that was our third ever gig, maybe. So we're more confident. And it has such a great ending because now all of us look at each other and go, we cannot fuck that show up. Like, if we can scoop any show up this year, that can't be the one, okay? So we've bought flares, we've got confetti ready, we have our logo, everything's ironed. I have a time capsule that says "Do not open till Rock in the Park" headline, because we know everyone. We look at each other and we're like, we have that, especially because when you headline that, it's the final thing of the whole sort of festival. So everybody turns up to see that because it closes out the day. So we're just in our heads, we're like, why did they want us back after that shambolic performance? But fair play, because we're going to go for it this time. I'm getting in that field. I'm crawling everywhere because we've got a point to prove, and that's what's great about it. But yeah, we can't wait because we are going to be returning. Yeah.
The cool thing would be to start with an acoustic guitar opening.
Maybe. I think there's going to definitely be a few jokes in the set. We have an hour, so I think there's going to be a few jokes in the set that we're probably going to be like, last time we played here, we were rubbish. We still are, but we're getting better.
That's nice. I mean, the good memories, when the good memories, these things that are happening, which are not such a good events, you learn something from them all the time, and you think, okay, if I manage to go past through that moment, there is nothing that can stop me. So everything is going upwards. What was your cover songs that you sing at the beginning? What did you start with?
We opened on "It's Over," our own song. We opened on it, but we were still at a level where we played covers. So we played "Cocoon" by Catfish and the Bottlemen. We used to play "Everlong" by the Foo Fighters. "When the Sun Goes Down" by the Arctic Monkeys. "Teddy Picker" by the Arctic Monkeys. We played a few other sort of tunes here and there. I can't actually remember on the top of my head. It's been now we do just play we've only played only originals for about a year and a half now. That's a step as a band. Pretty much every band has to take, is you do just have to wake up one day and go, we're not going to play any more other band's music other than our own. And some people, it depends. If you hit it at the right time, people turn around and go, fair, it's the right logical step. But we did a gig a couple months ago, and some guy we were the only band on the billing that played an only original set. Most bands played an all original set, maybe one or two covers in there. And this random guy came up to us drunk after we played in the crowd and went, "It took a lot of balls to do that, didn't it? Play just your own music to nobody who knew it, but fair play." And he smacked us on the back and he bought us all a drink. It was like, well, all right, and he bought us all a drink, but, I was like, okay, well, this is how it's going to go from now, I guess.
That's a nice event. That's a nice turn of event, right?
Yeah, it's the most English compliment you'll ever get. If I'm being honest, it's as English as a compliment's ever going to get. So
it's the best way in which you can say you did a good job.
Well done, mate. Well done.
Rio, you are doing a lot of things, and I want to ask you what does the future look like for Emergency Brake? So you had a lot of gigs. I've seen that you have already 6 festivals planned for 2025, which is quite a nice number already.
Yeah, we're really pleased to say that we're basically playing a new festival every Saturday from May to August. We just haven't announced a lot of them yet. We're really proud about that. It's taken 2-3 years to get to that, and we have put in the work, but we're really proud of that. But for Emergency Brake, we're currently in and out of a studio. We're recording 4 probably of our biggest singles that everybody wants to hear, and putting them onto vinyl. So that's really sort of the next moves. But in that, we're sort of starting to get really nice support slots, stuff like that. And we're aiming for our biggest ever headline show in London, 350 people at London O'Meara. Will be on September 5th, which isn't announced yet, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter when this goes out anyway. So if people have listened, then you can know that is happening on September 5th. We'll be playing London O'Meara, which is a big venue for a lot of London bands. some never get there, sadly, and some it's usually the beginning of something big. So hopefully, we don't know. We're just gonna have to see, but we're nervous already.
If you watch this after this, after September the 5th, write in the comments how was the concert.
Yeah. Imagine it's like, oh, they never even made it to the show. Leo just came out and violently threw up, and the support act were miles better. We'll be seeing them again.
How do you see on the Meadow evolving in the next years, Leo?
Hopefully, just bigger and better. I think the thing with an event like that is it's got to garner a reputation. I think with an event like that, it's word of mouth. I just have to keep coming back with it every year. And eventually, people will just come before we've even announced lineups. So, this year, we've sold so many tickets before we've even announced a single band playing, and it's like, that's slowly getting, and that's what I hope we want to do. Hopefully, one year, I want to sell it out before we've even put a single name to it, and then just put only grassroots artists on that hopefully maybe everybody on the lineup hasn't heard of, because then everybody gets to play to 600 new people. But that's got to come one day. But hopefully bigger and better with bigger names, and hopefully more stages. The more stages I can fit in that brewery, then the more people I get to put on. And that's what I want. I honestly just squeeze anyone everywhere. That's all I try to do all the time.
Do you think about new dates as well, or that's the only slot that you've thought about until now?
So I'd really like to hopefully expand it into a 2-dayer, even a 3-dayer at some point as well. I'd love to make it a Saturday, Sunday, or a Friday, Saturday at some point. But yeah, that'll hopefully come with time. I think with things like events like that, it comes with time. That at least that's how I'm treating it.
As someone who's on both sides of this music industry, what do you recommend to the guys thinking that they can do this, but missing the guts to start?
Go find the guts, because it's worth it. It's so worth it, and it's so much fun. And you've just got to go out there and grab it by the balls or the neck or the eyes, because it takes time, and there's people who give up after 4 gigs, and I do get why it's disheartening. We had our fair share, despite us. We did set ourselves up for failure in some extent, because our first ever gig was a 200 capacity show with people dancing, jumping, and then obviously it has become the phase where you're going to turn up to somewhere and play to 10 people, and we still have that when we touch down in certain cities. We play some places in the UK and 10 people turn up, and you can't let that dishearten you. And I say go for it. It's harder to watch someone half-assedly go for it, kind of give it a go, than it is to just watch someone go for it. It's more exciting, and that's all I can give someone. Just go for it. Do whatever you think it takes, and whatever you're willing to do to make it happen. And the right people always come along, and it always, no matter what, you'll always walk out. And worst comes worst, it's great dad stories in 20 years. That's what we all say. We say, do you know what? If this all goes down the chip pan tomorrow, and all we become again is 5 lads who were in a band, at least the dad lore will be so on top and unreal. At least I'll go like, Daddy, who was that? I said, oh, that I used to crowd surf. That's me. Like, I'll probably be bald. Or something. I'll be like, yeah, that's when I had hair. Yeah, and everybody used to touch it.
I gave up for you. Only for you.
Yeah,
you son, because of you.
We could have been selling stadiums, but you.
But you.
Yeah. But and that's what we say. Don't fall out of love with it, because it's easy to sometimes as well. Like, want to just go like, why am I doing this? Always remember what you're doing it for.
And that's that you read my next question. What should they do it for?
I think you can only go into this industry if you love it with everything you have and are willing to, unfortunately, put everything on the table. Your heart on the sleeve in terms of the lyrics you write, and your mind on the floor for every single event that you're willing to throw yourself at. Because I know why people walk away from it. I think, people can find this out. This is nothing new. I think this is a thing for every band. We've thought about giving it up loads of times. I think every band has. And we see bands that we knew when we just started out. We started out who call it in every day. There's a new band that we know that give it up every day. And it's sad. in my opinion. But I think you just got to carry on and go for it. And you've only got one shot at it, so you might as well just give it your best.
Nice piece of advice. Really, really nice. I mean, that's I keep saying this, that you should not do anything you should not start this for money. You should not
Or fame. Or fame.
Exactly. You should just start because you love the process and you love the grinding towards that process, towards that success. Because if you go only for the success, that success is this amount of time, and the grinding is too long.
Someone really great said, like, you know, if there's 1 million bands out there, only 1% ever make it, if that. So why not enjoy the ride to hopefully maybe make it to the 1%? And if you don't, well, you enjoyed the ride. So, you know, if you're going to miss the bus running, you know.
Good one.
You know, we had a good time.
Absolutely.
Genuinely, if we lose it all tomorrow, we had nothing but a good time, and there's no bad memories attached to it other than that other than that one gig that we spoke about.
But that's still a good memory. So
yeah, it's a great memory. We laugh. If you bring that up to any of us, I encourage anyone who listens to this, come up to us and talk to us about that gig. We will probably hysterically laugh.
Absolutely.
And then tell you about it. So yeah.
From a festival perspective, Leo, what makes an artist stand out for you?
Wow. There's a lot of things.
Give me two.
Do you know what one of them sometimes actually is for me is doing your research on the event you're applying for. Sometimes I do read like band things through, and I'm just like, you actually don't even know this is a festival in London. You know, that's one thing I would always say, actually, like, and that's actually taught me a lesson for everything. Actually research what you're applying for and what you're going for, because sometimes, you know, I see bands and I'm just like, you've aimlessly applied for this, which I get because there is hundreds out there. But, you know, it only takes a little bit of tinkering and one Google to find out that this is based in London and this is who it's targeting. And it increases your chances all round, not just for my event, because in the world of festivals, I'm this right at the bottom and everything out. Like, you know, I'm you know, there's festivals that can put you in front of almost millions of people, not, you know, hundreds. But I would say creativity and a unique way to want to sell yourself. I know it's difficult. And when I see a band really want to put the graft on to want to appear on our lineup, I can't say no. I can never say no. Like, if you want my honest opinion, and there are bands on this year's lineup that just pestered me and just kept DMing me and just kept commenting, and I just turned around and just went, how can I say no? Like, you know, because I know what it's like, you know, I do, and it is why it upsets me, because I wish I could put on every single band.
The end, creativity and perseverance. So you have to be there. You have to try as much as you can to get there. Leo, before we wrap it up, it was I enjoyed the conversation with you, and I think you're an amazing hope for your generation. I have to say
Thank you.
Like this.
Thank you very much.
Because creativity is something that we need to keep this world running. Creativity is something that we need to enjoy, to keep the happiness there, and to forget about all the concerns that we have every day. And I think that's something that it has to stay there. It has to stay there, and we have to have more and more bands that are coming up and trying to make the best of it. And like you said, if you don't succeed, then it's just a nice sad story, and you can blame it on the kids every time.
That's what I'll do. Even if I have kids in 20 years' time and we give this up tomorrow, I did this for you. Yeah.
I could have been the next Freddie Mercury, but then you. I mean, before we wrap it up, Leo, I have a set of quickfire questions that I put up for you. First concert you ever attended?
One Direction at Wembley Arena. It was for my mum's birthday. My mum and my neighbours have a birthday on the same day, and they both liked One Direction, so we went. That's the first concert I went to because it was my choice. It was what was the first gig I went to? It would have been Sam Fender at Finsbury. The first proper gig I went to, like I was geared up completely. So I was Sam Fender at Finsbury Park with Fontaines DC supporting and Declan McKenna. Like, if you don't know who three of them acts are, for context, they wouldn't exist together on a billing. All of them would be a headliner now. So like when you tell people that now, they go like, because it shouldn't be possible. Like Declan McKenna's just finished touring with Sabrina Carpenter. Fontaines are on like a borderline world arena tour, and Sam Fender can sell stadiums. You know, but this was 4 years ago. No, 4 years ago. 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago. You know, so that you know, people look at you and go like, that existed. And I'm like, yeah, and I was there. Yeah, that was the first gig I went to by choice.
By choice. Yeah. If you could only listen to one album for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, wow. That's so tough.
And for the young guys who are listening until you're thinking they don't know what an album is, back then when I was young, there were some things which are called the cassette, and you had to switch it from one side to the other, and you had to wait until the end. You cannot push skip. That was an album.
I'm just double before I make my answer. I'm just quickly scrolling through my Spotify hours just to double check I'm not missing one that I'm going to absolutely someone is going to go, but you said that was your favorite album. No. I'm going to, do I be really bold? Oh, that's going to annoy some people. Okay. I'm going to say, the second, no. Okay, no, because it doesn't have to be.
I gave you a hard one.
It's going to be, this is going to be a weird one, and people aren't going to actually, some people aren't going to think I'm going to answer this, but some people will. I'm going to say it's the latest 1975 album, Being Funny in a Foreign Language, because I think it's just got the perfect start to finish. And I didn't want to go for an old school album as well, because if I could argue, I might say Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club, maybe a Rolling Stones number, but I'm gonna say the latest edition, Offering, from the 1975. Just purely because there's a lot of nostalgia attached into that for me, even though the album came out 2 years ago. I got to see it in America. They play it in full. I got to see it everywhere. So yeah, I'm gonna say that. Just to also throw a thing. I don't know if anyone was gonna fully expect that. If not, also the debut Catfish and the Bottlemen album, because just banger start to finish.
I have to say again, I'm kind of old, but I still have the memory of, I don't know if you know the album, but I still have the memory of Chocolate Starfish and a Hot Dog Flavored Water. Do you know the album?
No, I do not know.
It's Limp Bizkit.
Oh, yeah.
It's the album with Hold On, with chocolates, with hot dog, I think.
You need to talk to James, our drummer. He's a huge Limp Bizkit fan. He's going to watch this and scream that I didn't go like.
So Chocolate Starfish and a Hot Dog Flavored Water, besides S&M from Metallica. Dream Festival lineup, dead or alive?
What is a banger? Oh, that is so... there's a Reading and Leeds lineup. I think it was like 2002, and it's got like Oasis, The Charlatans, Suede, Blur. There's some bands that are now huge that are smaller on it. Or I can make the argument, Truck Festival, which is a British festival, which is really big, with our genre of music. They had a lineup just about 5 years ago, which you look at it now and there isn't a name I wouldn't be able to know every single song from their debut album on. Now, you know, in 5 years, a lot of them have come a very long way. When you look at it and you go, fuck, I just wouldn't even know where to go. So I'm going to argue, I'm going to put them too. But yeah.
Nice. What's the weirdest thing that happened to you in a gig?
At one of our shows, when I crowd surf, front on like I was swimming, and someone who was holding me on my thigh kept smacking my bum just constantly. And then I I had hearing protection. I had hearing protection in here, and I used to wire it down the back of my neck into my back pocket. They just ripped that off of me as well, so I just had to raw dog the rest of the show with just no hearing protection. Yeah, no, that's probably the one. Yeah.
Why?
You know what? Do you know what I appreciate? Like, I don't appreciate it. I just go, do you know what? There's a level of confidence to know that I'm not going to turn around and just punch you in the face, because I'm not. Because to be honest, it's just kind of I don't have any reaction to that. So yeah.
Biggest misconception people have about being in a band.
That we all do drugs, and we all get drunk, and we all beat each other up backstage. Unfortunately, I think that was the case even 5 years ago, but now I've got to be making TikToks before I walk on stage, so I can't be getting drunk. So so yeah, no, I talk to people all the time, and they're just like, "Oh, it must be so fun to turn up to like a gig in Southampton. No, you're playing to 1,000 people and just get straight on the drink." It's like, when I've got a sound check, and then I've got to make a couple of Instagram posts about the fact that I'm here doing this, and then I've got to make sure that, because I'm the opener, everybody turns up in time to see my set. And by then, it'll be time to walk on. So, yeah, no, sorry, I'm not going to be getting high, getting drunk, and beating up the other bands. I just simply haven't got the time. Yeah.
If Emergency Brake would have a theme song that played every time you entered the stage,
wow. It'd be "Gimme Gimme" by ABBA. Because we walked out to that Camden Assembly show I spoke about, the 200 people. That show we walked out to with a remix that we went into our first song with. And in that song has haunted us ever since. We've been on. We were played a festival last year where there was a tribute stage, and just as we turned out, we were unloading to the stage. The stage well over through the forest, and ABBA tribute was playing "Gimme Gimme." Like it's the song that's followed us everywhere. So I'm gonna say "Gimme Gimme" by ABBA, because I think we're gonna make it the song that we walk on to at our biggest show, just because it's following us everywhere. So I've got no choice.
You blow my mind.
Or the Ghostbusters theme. We've always all wanted to walk onto the Ghostbusters theme as well.
Ghostbusters.
And then get one of us to do the. But we've just never got to that point. We also always spoke about we wanted to walk out to "Beat It" by Michael Jackson and get one of us to do the. But we're just not at that level of production where we can waste time like that, because no. But we will one day.
Let's just say you talked about Ghostbusters. What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie. I love a film that came out a couple of years ago called "Once Upon a Time in Hollywood" by Quentin Tarantino. You can't beat the original Jurassic Park. I originally wanted to be a film director. I used to make short films. That's what Emergency Brake was. It was a production company for me to make my short films. I used to be a huge movie nerd. So yeah, I'm gonna. Wow, that's really hot. I love this. Okay, I'm gonna say. There's an Italian film called 8.5 by Federico Fellini.
Fellini. Federico Fellini, yeah.
You got it. That's probably my favourite film of all time. Screw it. I just love that film. It's so creatively relatable. So that's why I'm just for now, if you ask me in a week, it'll probably be Jurassic Park or, I don't know, Iron Man 2.
Leo, you're doing a lot of creative activities. I've seen it also on your LinkedIn profile that you every once in a while are your special guest teacher as a drama teacher at the Sylvia Young Theatre School.
Yeah.
Where does the creativity come from, Leo?
I don't know. I actually don't know. Maybe it's what I eat in the morning. But it's something, because it's a bit crazy. No, I think it's a drive to want to tell everyone, like, and show everyone how amazing, like, it can be if you unlock that side in yourself, whether that's dance or that is making films or that is making music. It's such a freeing thing, I think so many people are grounded down by what they do every day, from what they wake up in the morning to do to what they go to bed. They don't, that if everybody had a release, whether it is running to rock music or it is like, I don't know, you dance up and down every day just for 5 minutes. If you know where that release is in your body, I think you'll live a lot freer life. And maybe that's what gets me up in the morning for it. I don't know. It's also just a lot of fun. It's just fun. I don't know. I don't feel like I've worked a single day for any of it currently. And maybe the day I do is maybe the day I should give it up. Because,
That's nice words. How does happiness look like for you, Leo?
Emergency brake playing every day of the week. That's it. I don't know. It's just, it's what I'm doing right now. To be honest, I'm very happy with what I'm doing right now. And although what we write about is very topical and is very deep, and I think a lot of people do talk to us sometimes and go like, especially when we put out Hometown, especially Hometown is a song that claws to me personally. I mean, from the artwork that we got done for it, to everything. A lot of people messaged me after that song came out and just went like, "You okay? Like, is everything okay?" And I'm like, yeah, that's actually really creatively freeing to throw that song out in the world and have the ability and the platform to do that, and know other people are going to listen to it. That's a lot better than bottling it in and not talking about it, because it's a weird topic. It's a weird topic. I remember sitting there going like, who do I talk about? The fact that I basically picked everything up overnight, left home, and now I wake up 9 hours after everybody else, and all I hear about is the stories of so and so did this, so and so did that, and this is all happening when I have to be asleep. And it's like, well, hold on, this is weird, but you can still write about it because it's unique. And that's what happiness looks like to me, to be able to put everything on the table and talk about it how it is. Because there's no better way. That's freeing. That's freeing, and that equals happiness, in my opinion. And money can't buy that. Money might be able to get me a nice house, but money can't make me walk out on stage to 200 people and have just 200 people sing them lyrics back to you. So yeah.
The description is exactly how I see it as well, and I think nothing that makes us happy is something that money can buy, and I think nothing that brings you this amount of joy that you are talking about is nothing that money can buy. Leo, this has been an amazing conversation.
Thank you.
I enjoyed the hell out of it. Before we go, where can people find Emergency Brake, and where can people find on the Meadow, online?
So online you can find Emergency Brake. We're most active on Instagram at Emergency Brake _, but you can find us under that username on pretty much any social media platform. Same goes for On the Meadow. But if you're within the United Kingdom, we'll probably coming to a city near you very soon, or usually on a rotation. And for On the Meadow, we're based in London. This year is the 19th of July. So yeah, if you want to support grassroots music and value it from 2:00 in the afternoon to midnight at night, there's no other place to be.
Nice. I will link in the show notes caption your social media accounts. I will link the how is the website called? I forgot it now because the bandsintown.com link.
Yeah.
That means it will always be actual. And Leo, do you have any final words for fans or people discovering your music for the first time?
Thank you, because without you, we don't do it, and we can't do it. There's no one to turn up to see us play Hometown. Then there'd be still a point to doing it, but it's refreshing to have people relate to the lyrics that you write, sing them back to you. And without the people who listen to this and follow us and interact with everything and come to our shows, and even if you only come to this because we're supporting a band you like, thank you, because it's what keeps us wanting to wake up every day and do it. So yeah.
Nice words. Listen to Emergency Brake whenever you can on Spotify. They are amazing. I keep seeing Hometown in my head in the last few days when I'm doing the research of the episode. When you see them, when you see the gigs around you, don't avoid them or don't miss them, because they are amazing. It's telling again a guy that I've seen a lot of YouTube videos and wished he was there for at least one of them. And thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, because it's been incredible.
I wish that we could do this again. Maybe after on the Meadow, maybe after your 5th of September gig.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whenever you feel like it, you are more than welcome. Again, everyone, make sure that you check out the music. It's amazing. Leo, thank you.
Thank you.
And see you next time. Bye.